Hi, Cicerin here with another video for 3.17, and I wanted to make a new video talking a little bit about essences. Essences are kind of underrated in my opinion, and it's a huge part of my crafting and how I make insane gear. So let's talk a little bit about that. So on the new Atlas passives, we have insane amounts of essence nodes, and for the majority of the league, I've been playing with all of them. So Prolific Essence, Crystal Lattice, Crystal Resonance, and Amplified Energies. I was a little tight on points, so I dropped Crystal Lattice. I don't like having dropped it. It is incredibly nice to get those giga essences with like 6 or 7 and then them all duplicating. But I have a large amount of essences. And you'll also notice that not everything is upgraded to deafening. So that's a big mistake that I see a lot of new players do very often. They'll just upgrade all their essences to deafening and they'll be like, yay, it's maxed now. But why did you do that? So actually, if you're watching this video and you've upgraded all your essences to deafening, you've probably fucked up. And there's someone sitting there like, oof. But either way, I'll explain why and talk a little bit about essence use. So a good example of why not upgrading all your essences, they're limited. Especially if you're playing Solo Self-Fun or even Trade League, it can be a pain to get large quantities of deafening essences and they're pretty expensive. So if we take a look at anger essences right now, say that you're going to use these for jewelry, right? So you're going to craft an amulet or a ring with increased fire damage. And that's the nice thing about essences, right? They guarantee one stat, otherwise they function as a chaos orb. And do remember that in fact, Screaming and Up now work as a chaos orb. Like, there's still some people that are scouring before using an essence. That's not needed on Screaming and Up. It's only Wailing and Down that would need a scour first. But either way, if we look at the difference, Deafening is 31 to 34, Shrieking is 27 to 30, and Screaming is 23 to 26. So the difference between 26 and 34 isn't really that big, and you get 9 extra attempts. So most people just simply aren't rich enough to be spamming Deafening or Shrieking essence. Shrieking are a little bit more affordable now, and I'm using them quite a lot. But even Deafening, I'm very, very careful with. Now, especially if I'm doing stat stackers, I would be using Deafenings. And we'll talk a little bit about different ones. So Creeds, we'll start at the top. Creeds are amazing, and these are really good value at deafening, because very often you can get away with only having a life roll or only a crafted resist. So these are extremely good value at deafening. I usually don't upgrade to deafening myself. I usually keep them at shrieking, because especially I'm trying to get like spell suppression and other rolls as well. Now these are really, really good, especially on 6th links. Very often, let's say early league, you might end up getting like, let's say a little 50, 60, 70 6th link that obviously it's low item level, so it cannot roll that high life. But even if you had an item level 50 6th link, a Deafening Greed will bypass the item level and it'll force 126 life on there. So in that case, a Deafening Greed could be very value early on. But obviously, you know, you're getting 20 less life and 9 more attempts or 8 more attempts with a Screaming Greed. So they're very, very strong. Wailing, obviously, it's not that big a difference still. It is getting bigger, but here we're restricted to properties below 75. So if you wanted like something that's only available at item level 82, a Wailing simply cannot hit that. Screaming and Up are great to craft with. And again, just you get so many more attempts to get a really, really good item. And very often I would rather, you know, have, let's say, double res and a crafted res or a triple res than I would just having slightly higher life and maybe the suffix is being bad on an item. Contempts, these are really good on weapons. They're really good on rings and amulets, only useful for physical builds. So I'm personally using these as chaos. Very often, for example, on a helmet, I don't actually care about the prefixes, or at least I don't care about all 3. So I can use this to try to get good suffixes. So an example of what I would be looking for when contempting my helmet, I would be looking for just high spell suppression and high life, and it's just instead of wasting my chaos orbs, I'm just sacrificing a prefix, because this is just adding reflect. Now, this is also a good thing to upgrade to deafening. The reason we do want at least a stack of 9 at deafening is that there is a harvest mod. I don't have one at the moment, but it'll say something like, exchange essences, giving you 9 other essences, or up to 9. It gives you another stack. So for example, I will do all my doubts and I will keep them at 9. I will keep my sufferings at deafening. I will keep my torments at suffering. Torments are actually used for making in-stacker ones as well, so they're not necessarily the best to sacrifice, but yeah. I'll use my Anguish, and I'll sometimes use like Anger or Fear, because the ones that I want the most to swap to is I would like more Greeds, I would like more Loathings, Zeals, and any of the stat ones for making stat stackers. And obviously Dreads aren't too bad. There's not really a big reason to have Deafening over Shrieking. I'm mostly using them for bows. Misery is really good at Deafening, and so is Envy and Scorn if you're doing a crit build. Now, I am also doing these, so I would always wait till I have a stack of 9 just to like min-max the value, and then depends what I'm trying to roll. At the moment, I've been rolling Delirium Rings, which look like this. So the way I got this was actually combining it with Harvest. I had the damage over time multiplier and tier 1 life, and then I used a Split Beast when it only had 4 stats, which makes the item blue because it only has 2 stats, and I had a prefix and a suffix. That's how it's blue, obviously. Other than that, you have really, really good essences. We have the 3 resist ones: Hatred, Anger, and Wrath. Here, especially if you're using them on body armor, you will notice that it's like 46 to 48 resist on Deafening, or 42 to 45. So you're getting 3% more resist, but 3 more tries. So Shrieking and both Shrieking and Screaming, I'm very happy to use here. They're very, very good value. And here's another example of me just, I'm literally now, all I care about on this helmet is I'm trying to get a high res with high tier 1 or tier 2 spell suppression and another open suffix, because I want to replace my helmet until I get a Viridi's Veil. Whoa, this is really good for multiple reasons. You can use them on a item level 2 Driftwood wand. I don't actually have one. I have a few other essence videos that I've used where I would use that item level 2 Driftwood wand. And the reason you use the item level 2 Driftwood wand, so you can level a new character, kill Hillock, de-level by using a sell 1 Scour and 1 Wisdom Scroll, then you're level 1. Everything from the vendor will now be level 2. So now you have a level 2 Driftwood wand. And why do we use that? That's because there are so few prefixes that you very regularly will hit +1 Chaos, +1 Lightning, +1 Fire, etc. And especially if you get +1 Cold or +1 Chaos with an open suffix now, that's already an endgame viable one that you can kill Cyrus, Maven, anything with, because spell damage is obviously very strong on those builds because you're a dot build and they get translated for, you know, cold dot or for chaos dots. And the +1 is really big, and you can also fit chaos damage over time multiplier. So you have a very, very strong one, and the only thing you're missing is like 30% spell damage. Now, obviously, getting a specific one is hard with using this. They're also very good at quivers. I usually don't like them for ES gear. I would normally be using dense fossils or just harvest for ES gear. They are quite nice for rings. Here, this can be really nice for a large amount of items. Also remember, pretty much any build in the game can use the minion damage by using Spiritual Aid. It'll make increases and reductions to minion damage affect you. So this can be used on anything to force minion damage on it. And other than that, we have the stat ones. These are really good to force stats on items that can't normally have them. Like, for example, belts can't use... Actually, I don't think belts can ever get dexterity, but if you use a sorrow, they can. So if you want to Stygian Wise with dexterity, that's a good way to get those. Doubts, like I said, I just swapped those to other essences. Loathings, these are incredibly good on chests and helmets. They give you mana reservation. So very, very strong on those. And I very frequently try to get some spicy helmets with that. It's very cool this thing because one of the implicits on helmets on the blue one is additional mana reservation. So you could get 10% mana reservation from this, 10% from the helmet, and then an enchant. Like, we can fit so many auras now. It's very cool. Zeals, these can be good on weapons. They can be good on boots. I'm not a big fan of deafening Zeals on boots because it's 2% more movement speed. I really wish these were 35. I don't feel like it makes sense that they aren't. They're also really good on rings and amulets now. And then we have all of these. Misery, really good on jewelry for mana. Envy, chaos res or chaos damage. Scorn for crit multi. And obviously dreads are mostly used on bows. Now we have the special essences. Insanity, really spectacular on gloves. It can be really good on like your movement skill, like shield charge, for example. That's honestly the main use for insanity at the moment. Horror, really good on gloves or helmet. On helmet, it's more elemental damage, and on gloves, it's base crit. So quite like those. Delirium, insanely strong on rings now. That's what I'm trying to craft a lot. And it can also be really good for Delirium gloves and aura helmets. And Hysteria, really spectacular on rings. Gain 10% fizz as extra fire. Something worth mentioning in this video as well is Fractured Gear. Now, there's a couple of really cool things here. So Fractured Gear is when a stat is hard-coded onto the item. For example, here I have Conjurer Gloves with tier 1 Fractured Life. If I use Shrieking Essence of Hatred, it guarantees the cold resist roll, it keeps the life, and I could use this with special essences too. If I used this, it would guarantee the life, and Socketed Gems deals 30% more damage. And something really worth mentioning is that you can use these on influence things. Like you can use these on fractured things. So Fractured is stronger than it's ever been before. So look out for Fractured stuff. There's so many good things. I have a couple of things that I'm working on. I really want to make this incredibly good. I'm probably going to pound 10 prismatic resists into these and then just use Reforge until I have triple tier 2. Sadly, it's 83 and not 84. That's kind of devastating because I could get like 180 rest ring or something stupid. Pretty okay with that. A lot of my gear is crafted with essences, so I wanted to make this video and explaining it. It's just, you can use them as slightly better chaos. You can use them to guarantee what you want, and yeah, they're incredibly good, especially screamings. Like very often you can get away with just life on your gear. And last but not least, if you're wondering how to get the special essences, you need to use a Remnant of Corruption on either Scorn, Envy, Misery, or Dread. So all the purple essences turn into the special essences. I hope this video helps and that you learned something. Thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.